So today is yoga for anxiety. We are going to do moving, breathing, trying to get rid of some excess energy. So we're going to start seated today. Oh, and I have a friend in the studio, so she'll be modifying and showing you how to make it your own practice. So keep an eye out in the background. We're going to start seated. So sitting down in a comfortable position. If you need a chair, please grab a chair. We're going to sit for a little bit doing some breathing. So just start to land in the room. Bring your hands, drop your hands into your lap wherever you're comfortable. Start to wriggle your shoulders. Really land on the ground. And if it's comfortable, bring your eyes closed. Start to imagine the weight of your shoulders and your head being a little lighter, your spine being a little longer. And really land in the present moment, letting go of anything outside of the mat. Start to lengthen your breath. We're going to begin with a gratitude practice. So we're going to take our 4 fingers and think of 4 things that we're grateful for and attach them to our 4 fingers. So index finger is 1, middle finger another, ring finger another, and little finger another. And we're going to bring a finger to a thumb, touch, and think of the thing we're grateful for. So one at a time, thinking of one thing, the second thing, the third thing, and the 4th thing. Trying to make them nice and simple. And even bringing a soft smile to your face. Thinking of your 4 things that you can be grateful for. And then complete a full round and let your hands soften open. And notice how you feel. And then we're going to move on to 4 corners breath. So we're going to think about our lower lungs. And if it helps, you can bring your hands just underneath your rib cage. We're going to start to lengthen our breath, bringing our breath all the way down into our stomach, filling up the bottom corners of our lungs. Try not to do this with muscular force, but nice, soft, intentional breath. Notice if there appears to be any gripping around the muscles of your stomach around your breath. And then if you like, you can bring your hands to the sides of your rib cage. You can cross your arms or just bring your hands here just to help bring your attention here. We're going to move into the sides of our lungs. So filling up your breath as if you're trying to gently squeeze your breath between each rib. Watching your rib cage expand with your breath. And then we'll bring our focus to our back. So let your hands soften and think about your back as if it were pressed up against a wall. And imagine filling your breath all the way into the back of your lungs as if you're just gently going to lift yourself up off the wall with your breath. And then finally bringing our attention to the top corners of our lungs, and you can place your hands just underneath your collarbones. Bring all of your breath right into the tops of your lungs and watch your collarbones rise and fall with your breath. And then let your hands soften back into your lap. And just notice how you feel. And then throughout practice today, we're going to work with breath for anxiety, which is going to be an inhale in and exhale out, and a little extra pause at the end of an exhale. So throughout practice, I invite you to practice that breath. So we're going to move and breathe. And we'll start with our neck. So we're going to inhale, chin center, exhale, turn the chin. Maybe a little pause. Inhale back to center, exhale, turn. So experiment with adding that gentle pause, starting with simple movement and then moving throughout practice, giving a little gentle pause. Move nice and slow and intentional with your breath. Then bring the chin back to neutral and we'll make the movement a little bit bigger, moving from the rib cage up. Inhale, center, exhale, twist. Inhale back to center, exhale, twist to the opposite direction. So notice if you're forcing the twist into your hips or your feet, try to keep this up above the rib cage. Starting to move and twist and squeeze with your breath. And bring it back to center. Lower the arms and we're going to work through the shoulders, just bringing one up to the ear at a time, nice and slow. And then come on over to a tabletop position. We'll move and breathe here. Inhale in your tabletop, exhale towards a child. Starting to really land on the mat, feel your hands on the mat. Start to have a real internal experience. What is going on in your own body? And then we'll begin to take hip circles. So come on towards a tabletop. Send the left hip out and then around in a long circle back to tabletop. And then back the other way. So really connecting with your hips, your legs. And then back to a tabletop position. We're going to take our hands out a little bit further forward than we normally have them. We're going to start to work through the shoulders. So a little bend in the elbow, start to engage chest, arms, and shoulders. And you can imagine you're squeezing your elbows towards each other, and then little tiny lowers of the elbows. Up and down, nice and slow. Connecting to the muscles of our chest and our shoulders. Watch for tension in the neck. And then slowly lower down to the forearms and lower all the way down to crocodile. So nice and slow. One hand on top of the other, forehead down, shimmy the hips and let go. Take the left arm out ahead of the shoulder, and we're going to lift left arm and right leg. So imagine somebody pulled your arm, pulled your leg, lengthen from the arm to the toes. And then let that go. Take right arm out, and lift the right arm and left leg. And then bring that back down to crocodile. Shimmy the hips. And then we'll work through the muscles of the back with our breath. So bring your hands to wherever it's comfortable to balance. Inhale, lift the shoulders. And exhale, lower. Moving with your breath. Connecting to all the muscles of the back. Maybe beginning to lift the toes. Find the backs of the legs, the glutes, the low back. And then bring it back down to crocodile. Shimmy the hips. And maybe even sighing out of the mouth, a little soft sigh. Notice what is present. Tucking the toes, hands under shoulders, push back to a child's pose. Little reset. And then tuck the toes and come on up to a down dog and warm up your down dog in whichever way feels right for you. Swaying the hips, bending the knees. And then find the stillness of down dog. Connect your head below your heart. Long, slow breaths. From here, we're going to move and breathe. So feel free to come back to a tabletop and move. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, child. Or if you're ready to pump it up a little, we're going to go from down dog to a plank. Inhaling forward and exhaling back. Maybe adding that little pause after the exhale. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Try to connect to the muscles in the arms and shoulders. Experiment with pulling from the calf muscles if you're working through the down dog. So pull forward from the legs and then pull back from the legs. And then find a down dog. Bend the knees, look towards the hands, and either step or hop forward, feet underneath hips. Forward fold, legs super bent. Let your torso find your thighs. And then press through the heels, hands on thighs, halfway lift. Forward fold, halfway lift, forward fold, and then this time press through the legs and come all the way up. Arms overhead, deep inhale, exhale, hands to prayer, heart center. Connect to the breath, inhale, arms overhead, exhale, hands to prayer. And one more time. Find your hands to prayer, heart center. Land on your feet. Soften around your knees, your low back, your shoulders. We're going to bend the knees and take weight circles around our feet. So we're going to make our weight come onto the outer edges of our feet and around and then onto the other outer edge. So little weight circles, hands can be a prayer, they can be out to the sides, they can be on your hips. Just moving through your feet, your legs, your knees. Start to engage the leg muscles a little. I'm going to work the legs and balance a lot today. So really experimenting with all the angles our feet can move in. And then back to a neutral mountain pose. So find your feet, find strong feet, not gripping in the toes. Really tall in the spine, hands back to prayer. We're going to bring the weight onto our left leg, so maybe a little more bend in our left leg, right leg forward. Start to bend the right leg, lift, hold, strong right leg. So from here, you can keep your hands out of the game, keep them on your hips, or you can pull your hands in, lift the leg. Exhale, push the leg down. So we're looking for top of the leg. Inhale up, exhale, push. Maybe adding that gentle pause. If you're feeling a lot of excess energy today, you can pump this up and make it a little stronger. A little more forceful with your breath. Bring the knee up, hands to hip. We're going to open the knee up to the right, engage inner thigh. You can use left hand to counterbalance. Hold it open. Really engage inner thigh. And take little movements in with the knee and out, really challenging our balance. Engage that inner thigh. Bring the knee back to center. Slowly send right knee past left. Little warrior three. And land in a high lunge. So find a strong base in your high lunge. Maybe a little shorter than usual with the back leg bent. So nice and strong and balanced. We're going to work through the legs again. So torso a little forward. We're going to move from the back cuff. So we're going to send that heel back and then up. So we're really pushing through the cuff, not the heel. Moving with the breath. Inhale as you lift. Exhale as you draw that leg back down. If you want to make the movement a little bigger, bring the arms in, lift. Exhale, pull back. Bring it back to a high lunge, hands of prayer. We're going to move back the way we came. Weight over the front leg, pop up the back. Bend the back knee and slowly come to a stand, right knee lifted. And then place the right foot down and tap out the left. We were on it for a while. And then reconnect to our breath. Mountain pose, inhale up. prayer to heart with the exhale. Bring your prayer to your heart. Maybe even close your eyes and check in on left and right sides. Feel the left leg in comparison to the right. Really get grounded in the physical body. And then softly opening the eyes and bringing the weight onto the right leg. We'll move on to the other side. So lift the left leg. Hold and hover. We're going to draw the left knee up. With an inhale, exhale, push the heel down. You can pump this up, making it a little more forceful, fire breath. Bring the left knee up, hands to hips or out with the right hand for counterbalance. Bring the left knee open. So engaging the left thigh so that you're not swinging the hips around. Engage. Draw open, really strong in the inner thigh. Hold and hover. And then squeezing inner thigh, bring the knee in and then out. Small movements, just working inner leg. Bring the knee center. Slowly send it past the right. Little warrior 3. And then land in a high lunge. Find a really solid base. So really strong in the legs, pulling you up out of the ground. And then working through that back leg, pulling from the calf muscle. So not worrying about how low you get the heel, but just pulling and lengthening the calf muscle. And again, you can keep it small, pulling down and inhale up, or you can make your arms part of the movement. Inhale, lift, exhale, push back. Remembering to keep right leg engaged. And then bring it back to a high lunge. Slowly go back the way we came, bringing the weight onto the right leg, popping up the left. Bend the knee, bring it forward to stand with the knee lifted. And then lower down and tap out the right foot. Back to mountain pose, connect to the breath. Inhale up, exhale, prayer to heart. Bring the prayer to heart, settle into mountain pose. Notice left and right sides. Bring a deep bend into the knees, and we're going to engage the legs and slowly move through pedaling the heels. So we'll turn so you can see. Maybe this is better, I don't know. So we're going to lift one heel at a time, nice and slow, but trying to keep the legs engaged so the hips don't move too much. So working through the feet, finding the muscles of the feet, nice and slow. And then 2 options for the next movement. You can keep the feet on the ground, engage the legs, deep bend in the knees, and just open and squeeze the knees. It's a small, tiny movement with the feet down on the ground. The knees are not going to open. So small, open, and squeeze. If you like to pump it up and your feet are strong, you're going to lift to the balls of your feet. Open and squeeze. So hands can be out for balance. They can be at prayer. They can be on your hips. Really thinking about that inner thigh space. So slowly pull the knees apart and squeeze the knees in. Bring it back to center. Lower the heels if they're lifted. Back to mountain pose. Give a shimmy of the hips and the legs to let go. And then we're going to bring left leg up, knee up forward. Send it back, high lunge. Nice and slow, ground. And work the shoulders just a little bit here. So arms out. We're going to take one arm at a time, big, slow circles. Think about one long breath for each arm. And then back to a high lunge. This time we're going to work the inner thigh and outer thigh. So we're going to bring our weight forward onto this right leg. Bend the leg. Send the left toes up off the ground with the knee bend. Heel comes towards the glute. Hold here. Arms out for balance if you need it. You're going to tuck the left knee behind the right. Squeeze the legs together. See if you can balance here. And then land in a curtsy. So left toes come past right. Land in curtsy. So curtsy looks like this. Legs across. We're going to squeeze the legs together. Hips even. So squeezing legs together. Keeping the hips even. Lengthen the spine. Soften the shoulders and the face. We're going to open knees and squeeze them together. So teeny tiny difficult movement. So now, outer leg and inner leg should be firing. Little open, little squeeze. Squeeze the legs back together and slowly send the back heel down and then up. So just working through the lower leg on the left side. Nice and controlled. So watch for that strong wobble. You want to find the muscles and move slowly with the muscles. Bring it back to curtsy. Hands to prayer. And for the challenge, we're going to bring our body forward and pop up the back toes. See if you can pop them towards the heel towards the glute, sorry. Hold. Little tiny drops of the knees, little tiny bends. And then send that left leg back. Land back in your high lunge. Notice right leg might be on fire from all that balancing. Find your hands of prayer. Frame out the front foot. Send right leg to meet left. And either hold in a high plank or meet me in child's pose. And then either way, slowly send the hips back. Child's pose. Reset. Find your breath. Tuck the toes and come on up to a down dog. Connect to your breath in your down dog. Think about heavy thoughts, disturbing thoughts, distracting thoughts coming to the top of your head and slowly falling out. With every exhale, think about your head being a little bit lighter. Connect with turning your world upside down. Bend the knees, look towards the hands, and step the feet outside of the hands. So come on up, wide forward fold. So feet about mat width. You can bend the knees or you can send the legs towards straight. You can grab onto your block so that you're a little bit taller with your spine. We're just going to work through inner thighs here, moving the weight. So keeping the legs strong, we're going to move the hips over to the right and then over to the left. It's a small movement connecting with the inner leg. Try to take the tension out of the neck. And then bend the knees. Take a deep inhale as we rise all the way up. Hands overhead. Exhale, prayer to heart. Step the feet in. Mountain pose. And then we'll move on to the other side. So weight onto the left leg. Slowly send the right leg back. Heel comes towards glute. Bring the torso forward. And then tuck the knee in behind the left. So hands can be on hips. They can be up. However helps you balance. Keep the right leg very, very active. Maybe move the toes, pull the toes towards a shin. Squeeze the legs together. And then lower the back toes, curtsy pose. So landing, hips forward. Squeeze the legs together. Really squeeze, active squeeze. And then keeping that strong muscular action, knees open, and then draw back together. So it's a teeny tiny movement, but you're going to find all the outer edges of the hips and the legs and the inner thighs. The slower you go, the more muscle connection you have to work with and the less momentum you have. Squeeze the legs back together and then slowly lengthen through the back leg, sending the heel towards the ground. Another small movement. And back to curtsy pose. Shore up the hips nice and even. Weight forward, torso long, then pop up the back heel. If you're strong and balancing, maybe find the challenge of lowering the knees, little tiny half squats. And then slowly send the back leg back to high lunge. Land in your high lunge here. And this time we're going to work through the shoulders. Hands facing, palms facing each other, shoulder height, shoulder width. We're going to inhale as we open, exhale as we squeeze back together. This time, open up. Draw your chest forward. Imagine you're breathing right into the center of your chest. Oop, lost my balance. And then slowly bring one hand at a time over the chest center. Imagine sealing in what is needed. And then frame out the front foot. Send left foot to meet right. High plank or lower the knees. I'm going to work through the shoulders just a little bit more. So take the hands a little bit wider than they were before. Options here. You can turn your hands out. You can bring your chest forward, bend the elbows, hold here. You can lift the knees here. Or you can come to a wide arm down dog shape. So this is really just in the arms and shoulders and not in the stomach at all. So if you come to the down dog shape, you're going to take your tension out of your neck. You're going to take your crown of your head towards the ground without tension in the neck. So bending the elbows, moving through the shoulders, move with the breath. Slow and controlled. And then lower the knees. Find a child's pose with the arms still wide. So it's really firmly keeping the hands on the ground and pulling back from the hands. Back to a tabletop shape. Right arm down, right knee behind right arm, and we're going to come to a baby half moon. So things to look for here, don't drop into that right shoulder. So this is sinking down, hanging out the shoulder joint. Lift up and control from underneath the shoulder so you're nice and strong. We're really focusing on the leg and the hip here. So if you need to adjust, bring a block, bring a forearm down. Just make sure you're not sinking into that shoulder joint. You can lift yourself up so you're even higher. We're going to lift the left leg. We're going to engage the leg strongly. And we're going to lower the heel and lift the heel. So we don't want to be moving in through the hips and in between the rib cage, but lifting and lowering the leg. Think about right here on top of this left hip space. Squeeze tight. And then lift the leg, bend the knee, bring the knee towards the nose. Lift the heel, lifting left heel, active, strong leg. Bring the knee down and up. Still watching to lift up out of that right shoulder. And then lengthen the left leg, land it on the ground, and come on up, lengthen right side. So really reach up out of that right rib cage. And left arm can be soft. Slowly lower back down to a tabletop position and switch sides. I'm going to turn around so you can see. So baby half moon on the other side, left arm down, left knee behind left arm, really lifting up out of the ground, not sinking into the left shoulder. Lift and hover, right leg. Really thinking about lifting the heel. Lift and lower, nice and slow. Lift and hover the right leg really strong. Draw the knee towards the nose. Really pull the heel up towards the ceiling, and then small lifts and lowers with the knee. Really looking for on top of this right hip. Think about lifting the heel as well as lifting the knee. And then right leg long, lower the foot, and lift up left side, lengthen. Breathe into the open left rib cage. Slowly lower the left hand, bring both knees down. If you're not comfortable on the knees, place something underneath. We're going to go to camel pose. So nice and slow with this. Toes can be tucked or flat. You want to engage your legs. So imagine you're pulling your knees apart without letting them move. So legs are engaged either way. Hands, fingertips towards the ground. Draw elbows back. So you're strong across the chest and shoulders. And then push hips forward. So push hips forward. Try not to drop the skull. We're really thinking about lengthening and opening across the chest with the muscles across the front of the hips engaged. Glutes are engaged, legs are engaged. Breathe. Slowly bring the hips back to neutral, lower down to the heels. One hand on top of the other. You can bring thumbs to touch. Bring all your awareness to softening around the shoulders and the lower back. And then lifting up one more time back to camel. So hands, fingertips back, engaging legs, pushing the hips forward and really drawing the shoulders and elbows back, opening up. Breathe and open. And then slowly back to neutral, hips to heels. One hand on top of the other, thumbs touch. Soften the shoulders. And then swing on to one hip and take the feet out long. So just working through the legs, bring your torso to wherever you're comfortable. And we're going to push the heels down into the ground with a little bend in the knees. And push one foot at a time away, just really feeling our legs. Noticing what is present. And then bring the feet a little bit wider. And move left and right again. So now connecting with the whole leg, the inner thigh. And then for coming down, you might want to have your blocks handy on either side of your mat. So we're going to go into a wide hip. So we worked in and out of hips. We're going to go into one hip release. So come on down to your back. Start with feet down on the ground, knees up, and really take all the tension out of the lower back. Take some sways. And notice what is present. Bring your feet to the ground and bring hips are even on the ground. Bring the right leg to hover. So heel comes up about even with the knee. Hover this leg and then open up the leg to the outside. So still strong, trying to keep the left leg grounded. Find the inner thigh. Little pulses here, bringing the heel away from you and then pulling the knee towards this shoulder. Small, strong pulses. So watch for being so wide that you're wobbling around with your hips on the ground. We want to just find the inner leg again. Then bring the knee in towards the chest and cross it over the left. Bring both knees towards your chest. Feet come towards opposite shoulders. So you're looking for that opening across right piriformis and glute space. Start to breathe and let go. Slowly unravel. Bring the right foot to the ground. Make sure the hips are nice and grounded. The left leg comes to a hover, so bring that heel even with the knee. And then we're going to bring the knee out, over to the left, a little in and out. So really working with this inner leg, noticing any weakness, any gripping, really being present with what is going in. Side the leg and around the hips. Slowly cross left over right and bring the knees in towards chest. And breathe. Slowly unravel, and this time we're going to bring soles of the feet together on the ground, and this is where your blocks come in handy. You're going to let your knees land on the block. So find that place where your knees are coming towards the blocks and you're finding an opening in the legs, but not towards that point where you're really, really stretching. So you might need to adjust the blocks and bring them up a little higher. You're going to find opening in the legs that is comfortable, that you can rest into. So keep the soles of the feet together. Find that place where you're not gripping across the front of the hips or in the lower back. So your feet are together, your knees are open, but there's no gripping. Bring your hands to where they're comfortable so that your shoulders can melt onto the ground. We're going to do a breath kind of energy practice. So we're going to think about grounding. Grounding through our hips, through the soles of our feet, moving energy through the space that is most closely related to grounding. So our feet are the things that touch the ground. We're going to think about getting close to the earth and releasing all of the tension we can find across the hips and across the legs. So we work the legs and hips. We're going to start to think about the ways that our muscles felt when we were using them so that we can look for the opposite. So if you're a very visual person, you can connect to imagining an energetic color moving. Otherwise, you're just going to imagine drawing energy in through the left side. So imagine from the sole of the left foot, up the left leg, across the hips, down the right leg, and connecting back at the feet. So you can move this with the pattern of your breath. If working with your breath makes you feel more tense, forget the breath and just move energy. Visual wave of energy. Moving up through the left leg, across the hips, down the right, and through the soles of the feet. Connecting. So as you're thinking about this energy, drawing it through the legs, you're going to imagine this energy is cleansing anything that is no longer needed. It's sweeping away tension. It's moving anything, any holding patterns, any misaligned bones. It's just gently moving through the feet like a giant reset, moving energy through your base. And then gently see if you can switch the direction of your energy and go up the right leg, across the hips, and down the left. Joining again at the soles of the feet. Sweeping, cleansing, freshening energy. Sweeping away tension. And then let all thoughts of your energy pattern go and just notice what is present. Maybe feel a pulsation, a vibration in your legs, in your feet, across your hips. Connecting to the idea of being present with your own life force. And then making a decision of where you want to be for your resting pose. Maybe you want to stay right where you are. Maybe you want to gently prop up and be in Shavasana. Grab your blankets, grab your socks, whatever you need to be comfortable. And think about that feeling of really, really, really releasing tension in the body. So think about what your muscles feel like to be switched on, strong, holding, gripping, and then think about what it means to turn them off and loosen and soften and melt. Try to let your shoulders soften. The muscles of your face soften. Soften the palms of your hands and think about the energy in your hands. So sometimes the palms of our hands are the easiest place for us to connect to that energetic layer of our body. There's lots of nerve centers here, so we can imagine feeling just above our skin on the palms of our hands. And if it's easy for you to connect to the energetic layer, imagine connecting to that energetic layer right above your skin throughout the whole body. Some tricks you can use to connecting to this are that time when you know someone's entered your room before you've visually seen them or heard them, you feel. That's that energetic layer of your body sensing before the brain processes. Or you can think about the temperature of the air on the just above your skin. You can feel that without it really being on top of your skin. Whatever helps you connect. Thinking about that energetic layer of the body. Think about that energetic layer being less frenzied. Maybe you bring in a cooling layer, something to soothe. Maybe you can imagine wrapping yourself in a bubble of soothing and refreshing, calming energy. Perhaps making it like an ocean blue. And then as you sink more and more into the ground, letting the tension melt from your muscles, journey towards the heart center. So starting to draw from the level just above the skin in towards the heart. And listening from the heart space, read from the Radiant Sutra. And try not to cognitively understand the words, but let them seep in. Bathe deeply in that ocean of sound, vibrating within you, now as always. Resonating softly, permeating the space of the heart. The ear that is turned by rapt listening learns to hear the song of creation. First, like a handbell, then subtler, like a flute. Subtler still as a stringed instrument, and then eventually as the buzz of a bee. Entering this current of sound, the listening one forgets the external world, becomes absorbed into internal sound, then absorbed into vastness, like the song of the stars as they shine. If you have more time to give in your resting pose, please take as much time as you need. If you need to finish up at the 60-minute mark, you're going to gently bring your awareness back to the room. Slowly bring some circulation to your legs if you have your knees open just by using your hands. And then making your way to a fetal position in whichever side is calling to you. And thinking about that internal rhythm of your life source, so your heartbeat. In the teachings, it's called the unstruck chord. So that pulse that beats, a rhythm, a music that beats without having been struck, without somebody having to play it. Magical beating sound. And as we travel deeper below all the layers of the thoughts, and the distractions of the world, and the weight of our worries, and find this place, this magical place inside our heart center, we can find peace within by just resting in this magical place, letting go of our fears and worries, even if it's just for a moment, as if recharging in our own sound of our own heartbeat. So without thinking cognitively of what they might be, think about all these little barriers that we put around our heart like a heart wall. And imagine them softening and landing on the mat. And then as you rise to a seated position, imagine coming up a little lighter, a little softer, shoulders a little easier. Bring your hands to prayer heart space and truly connect with bringing our left and right sides to meet in front of our heart, accepting ourselves as whole and complete, precisely as we are. Try bringing a soft smile to your face as you remember the 4 things that you were grateful for at the start of practice. May we all know a little love, light, and connection. Thanks for joining us. Thank you. It was so nice to have company.